My boyfriend's first love just went through a breakup. I waited for him all night at the restaurant. And as dawn approached, I received his text, "We're not right for each other. Let's break up." On our second anniversary, I sat watching snowflakes dance outside the restaurant window, the familiar figure never appearing. He stood me up. When pale morning light crept in, I pushed open the door only to be choked by a gust of icy wind. My phone showed 2 messages, one from him repeating that breakup line, and another from Sophia, my roommate and his childhood friend, Lily. "I don't want to give him to you anymore." Fresh snow crunched underfoot, each footprint quickly buried under new flakes. Breathing crystallized in the frigid air. This winter felt crueler than most. Ethan and I met during summer. I was searching the basketball court for my roommate while holding 2 melting ice creams when a ball came flying at me. Strong arms yanked me into a scorching embrace so fast I only caught a glimpse of his jawline. Ice cream splattered on the pavement as Sophia's voice echoed, "Lily." Then that crisp voice above me asked, "Lily?" Our first meeting sealed at those intense eyes. The fluttering white tee, everything about Ethan intoxicated me. He was Sophia's lifelong friend. Through her, we kept crossing paths, always in their trio outings. Gradually, we grew closer. He learned my name from Sophia's constant mentions. The following winter, Ethan proposed our relationship, if you could call it that. Leaving the library one evening, I saw Sophia's social media post, "Hello, Ben." The silhouette photo showed the guy she'd secretly loved for years. At our dorm, I found Ethan shivering in thin clothes, roses in one hand and a death grip on his phone. He turned with red-rimmed eyes, crushing me in an embrace before rasping, "Lily, let's try this." Sophia had been engineering this for months. Every time Ethan invited her out, she dragged me along. Once drunk, she clung to me begging, "Just take him off my hands. He's so clingy." Ethan walked in then, drenched from rushing over during a storm because she called. He scooped up the giggling Sophia with a sigh, "Sophia, behave." I followed silently, watching his careful hands tuck her into the car. Why did I agree? Because despite knowing he only wanted to provoke Sophia, I loved him too much. Ethan's social media showed 3 posts, say kitten photo. So close. And our relationship announcement, "Lily, my girlfriend." Sophia instantly commented, "Aw, congrats, you too." Our first date at the cinema turned awkward when Sophia and Ben appeared in front row seats. The cliché romance film about missed chances had Sophia sobbing loudly. She always cried easily. I remembered that night before we dated, when some guy's elaborate dorm proposal made her weep on our balcony. "Why not Ethan?" I'd asked. Her tears stopped abruptly. "We grew up together. He'll always be there anyway." The restaurant after-party featured Sophia and Ben feeding each other while Ethan pushed lettuce around his plate. His fingers, those careful hands I'd watched cradle Sophia, now drummed restlessly. My chest tightened watching snow accumulate on the window, cold crystallizing between us like the ice cream puddle from our first meeting. Before parting ways, Sophia Miller said they still had a friend's birthday party to attend. Ethan Brown seemed to suppress his emotions for a long moment before finally uttering, "Don't drink too much." Sophia frowned in displeasure, clinging to her boyfriend while looking at me. "Lily, he's so annoying. Tell him to stop nagging me." Before I could respond, Ethan grabbed my wrist and led me away. The walk was uncomfortably quiet despite my mind racing with conversation topics. We eventually stopped outside a buffet restaurant where I blurted out, "Ethan, let me make you some noodles." Inside the restaurant, Ethan ate the noodles with refined manners, a faint smile playing on his lips. "You don't strike me as the cooking type." Truthfully, I hadn't been certain of my culinary skills either, this being my first attempt at tomato egg noodles since childhood. His smile deepened. "Really? It's quite good." My ears burned as I watched his handsome features soften. That night marked a turning point where Ethan began fully embracing his role as my boyfriend. He started delivering breakfast to my dorm every morning without fail, surprising me with thoughtful gifts during holidays, planning weekend adventures, and occasionally orchestrating romantic gestures. During one mountain sunrise hike, as dawn's first light streaked across the sky fragrant with earth and grass, he suddenly kissed my cheek. "Lily," he murmured with indescribable tenderness. "I love you." For the longest time, I'd believed Ethan couldn't possibly love me, not after witnessing his devotion to Sophia Miller. We were polar opposites. Sophia radiated vibrant, captivating beauty while I existed in quiet simplicity, what classmates unkindly termed the boring type. Yet when Ethan confessed his feelings, my heart ached with bittersweet longing, as if I'd waited lifetimes for those words. Though we'd barely dated a year, this fragile happiness felt like soap bubbles destined to pop, with Sophia perpetually poised as the needle. 2 months into her new relationship, conflicts erupted between Sophia and her boyfriend, petty arguments over lipstick shades escalating to physical altercations requiring hospital visits. During one half-priced couples dinner at a new restaurant, our meals arrived just as Sophia's call interrupted us. We found her sobbing in a private booth, drowning in alcohol over scheduling conflicts with her increasingly distant boyfriend. What I assumed would be a single comforting session became routine. Sophia began frequenting my social media with complaints about her boyfriend's lack of tenderness, insincere apologies, and rumored infidelities. Her constant refrain became, "Ethan would never do this." The snowballing tensions led to Ethan receiving increasingly frequent distress calls from Sophia, so often that I began feeling like the third wheel. On my birthday during a torrential downpour, as candlelight flickered between us, the jarring ringtone Ethan still reserved for Sophia shattered the moment. Her hysterical sobs filled the room as Ethan knocked over a porcelain plate in his haste. "He abandoned me on some random street." Sophia's voice trembled through the speaker. Though the AC hummed, my fingers turned icy. Ethan soothed her with uncharacteristic softness. "Send me your location." When he moved to leave, I grasped his sleeve, my first and only act of defiance. "What if I ask you to stay?" His fingers gently pried mine loose. "I'm sorry, Lily. I can't let anything happen to her." The slammed door echoed through my 21st birthday celebration, ending with me hospitalized after collapsing from migraine induced by old car accident injuries. All night, Ethan's phone rang unanswered. Post-breakup Sophia became a dorm-bound recluse. When Ethan finally visited my hospital bed with dark circles shadowing his eyes, I pretended sleep. During recovery, he redoubled his efforts, accompanying me to classes, anticipating my needs, even sprinting to the infirmary when menstrual cramps struck during gym. His meticulous care with heating pads and ginger tea clearly aimed to mend our fractures. Yet Sophia kept inserting herself into our moments, first joining meals, then outings, always clinging to my arm with declarations, "Lily, I'd never steal Ethan. We're just friends. I practically set you two up." She'd pout when Ethan gifted me a loan. "Since when did you become such a lovesick puppy?" "Ethan? Remember who introduced you." 4 months. We maintained this fragile triad until Sophia began dating a business school student, the polar opposite of her ex. Where her previous boyfriend had been brash and neglectful, this quiet, attentive young man mirrored Ethan's unconditional devotion. I often wondered if Sophia noticed how closely he resembled the version of Ethan who'd always indulged her every whim. The day Sophia announced her relationship again, Ethan accidentally shattered the teacup I'd painstakingly handmade for his birthday. A shard cut his index finger, leaving a scar that could have been caused by Sophia or my gift. Our strained relationship, always tense because of Sophia, temporarily eased. Later, when Ethan and I were eating at an off-campus barbecue joint, sudden commotion erupted outside. Neither of us being curious types, we stayed put until Sophia's scream pierced through the noise. Ethan bolted outside before I could blink, me trailing behind. The storefront across looked like a war zone, brawling teenagers, shattered glass everywhere. When someone swung at Sophia, Ethan smashed a beer bottle against the attacker. The chaos of screams and bloodied faces blurred until darkness swallowed me. My last conscious thought being distant shouts of someone fainted. I woke in hospital to Ethan's bruised face and bandaged arm. "Lily," he rasped. Though I rarely cried. Silent tears soaked my pillow then, not from pain, but the realization that when I desperately called his name during the chaos, his eyes had only sought Sophia. Sophia visited with puffy eyes. Her cowardly boyfriend having fled the fight. Their on-again off-again relationship finally ended a week before Ethan and my second anniversary. When Sophia calmly announced their breakup over dinner, I sensed the storm coming. Ethan broke up with me on our anniversary. At our final meeting under pale winter light, Sophia clung to his arm chirping, "Thank you for making me realize my true feelings." "Lily, Ethan only dated you to make me jealous." His newly cropped hair emphasized gaunt cheekbones. The watch I'd gifted still on his wrist. "Was it real?" I asked, recalling our mountain sunrise when he'd sworn his love. 2 years couldn't compete with their 20. The fevered dream after our breakup felt crueler than reality, visions of bicycle silhouettes against bloody asphalt. A white-clad boy whose face I could never see. And a teasing voice echoing Lily through snowstorms. Waking to hospital whiteness. I almost believed I'd time-traveled back to my sophomore year car accident amnesia. Snow still fell when Sophia found me later. Her smile brittle as icicles. "Don't hate me, Lily," she simpered, Ethan's shadow looming behind her. But I'd already stopped seeing ghosts. The boy who'd comforted crying Sophia in stairwell sunlight existed only in memories now. His golden hour glow forever outshone by reality's harsh fluorescence. He pressed his lips together, his hand hanging at his side forming a loose fist. His voice remained melodious as ever, "It's my fault. Don't blame Sophia. You can ask anything of me." I forced a bitter smile, my vision blurring as I looked at him. "Even marrying me?" Ethan froze. I turned to walk away, scoffing. "Can't do it. Can you?" "No matter. You've never kept any promise you made me anyway." The worn watch on Ethan's wrist caught my eye. I'd bought him a new one after multiple repairs. Yet he'd never worn it. "This old one's fine," he'd insisted. Worn it too long to change. Now I realized it wasn't the style he cherished, but the person who'd given him that first timepiece. Snowflakes dusted the intersection as I stood paralyzed by passing headlights. The screech of colliding metal erupted behind me moments before cedar-scented arms yanked me from death's path. When the migraine from triggered memories subsided, I looked up into features mirroring Ethan's yet more refined sharp jawline. Snow-dusted hair beneath a transparent umbrella. Red-rimmed eyes burning through me. "Long time no see, Lily." His voice cracked. "Ryan. My high school tutor. That summer before freshman year. My father brought home a college student, a math tutor supposedly. Though Ryan ended up teaching all my subjects. He'd sneak me vanilla ice cream when mom was out. Despite my fragile health. After relentless begging reduced his resistance to allowing half portions. Though based in different cities for thesis research, Ryan laid the foundation for my academic success. When school started, he returned to college, leaving behind mathematical prowess that became my strongest subject. All this I learned later. I'd forgotten everything about him. Even his existence. His knuckles whitened around the umbrella handle. "You really don't remember," he exhaled shakily. "No matter. You're safe now." That face so like Ethan's yet different twisted my emotions. When I tried calling him Mr. Wilson, he interrupted bitterly, "You never used formalities before." I once attributed my feelings for Ethan to right place right time serendipity, until his constant letdowns eroded that affection. Now my aversion to Ryan stemmed precisely from their resemblance, though technically, Ethan was the copy. The Wilson-Brown family connection emerged during winter break through a congratulatory comment on Ryan's social media post about 7-year cycles. "Cousin. You found her." That cousin explained everything. New Year's Eve brought a midnight message, "Lily. Happy New Year." I replied at dawn, "Ryan. Likewise." Back on campus amidst graduation chaos, Ethan's name finally stopped triggering tremors. At farewell parties where our overlapping social circles inevitably collided, I witnessed Ethan and Sophia's explosive breakup, smashed bottles, bloodied faces, accusations of emotional neglect through ex-boyfriend games. "Just break up already." Ryan's icy voice cut through the aftermath. Dressed in tailored black, his disapproving gaze locked with mine across the parking lot until Ethan's drunken cousin diverted him. In that moment I understood Sophia's fatal error was testing what should never be tested. Love's fragile threads snap easiest when tugged. Then his sharp gaze swept over the overly quiet Sophia nearby before approaching me. Ryan remained unaware of my past relationship with Ethan. Later I realized either he hadn't seen Ethan's social media post, or Ethan had restricted the visibility to just Sophia and me. That night when I refused to ride in Ryan's car, he followed me for blocks with his headlights cutting through the darkness until I finally relented. The heated interior smelled like his cologne as he produced a warm milk bottle from nowhere. I didn't take it. His fingers tightened around the glass. "Lily." His voice dropped. "I need to know why you keep pushing me away." He'd noticed. I pressed my temple against the cold window, watching streetlights streak like meteors across the glass. Only when the engine hummed to life did I answer flatly. "I used to date Ethan." Tires screeched as the car swerved to the curb. Ryan's knuckles whitened against the steering wheel, veins standing out like relief maps under the dashboard lights. The orange glow highlighted the tension in his jawline before he turned with a smile that reminded me of snow thawing in sunlight. "You're still my student." An icy draft slipped through my cracked window, cooling the suffocating air. My chaotic thoughts settled, whether from his words or the chill. I couldn't tell. Maybe involving him had been unfair. This was our second encounter. Unless by design. Being near Ryan kept unlocking forgotten memories. That night I dreamed of sun-dappled classrooms, fluttering curtains, textbooks riffling in summer breezes. A tall figure stood silhouetted against the window. A slender girl bent over her notes. Just fragments. After our first meeting, I dreamed of blurred basketball courts echoing with cheers. Ethan confronted me the morning after his hangover, black coat flapping like a storm cloud under campus maples. "How do you know Ryan Wilson?" His eyes burned with something dangerous. "None of your business." Wind shook the budding branches as his voice cracked. "Lily, I know we look alike. But don't." It took me days to realize he thought I wanted a replacement. Truth was, Ryan's company felt comfortable. Our old teacher-student dynamic meant he remembered my coffee order, my hatred for pop quizzes. "I'm using you to piece together memories," I confessed one evening. "If that bothers you." Starlight caught in his eyes as he leaned closer. "I wouldn't have it any other way." During dinner weeks later, he casually asked, "Do I exist in those memories?" His spoon handle bent slightly under whitened fingertips. I shook my head. The scenes remained blurred. Ryan had always been the perfect gentleman. That's why when he suddenly pulled me against his chest that night, pine scent enveloping me, I froze. "Just let me hold you." His whisper burned against my ear. He released me moments later, murmuring apologies about the wine. After graduation, I deferred job hunting for grad school prep, tutoring high schoolers online. My mother's calls grew frequent. The corporate titan turned fragile after the divorce during my coma. Her forced cheer couldn't mask the grief. I witnessed Ethan and Sophia's final breakup at the campus cafe. From my corner booth, I watched Sophia storm out clutching her purse, Ethan's head buried in his hands. My coffee turned cold as I annotated lesson plans until Ryan's text lit up my screen at dusk. Ethan materialized as I packed up. "You saw," he said bitterly. "Turns out childhood sweethearts don't guarantee happy endings." His laugh sounded like shattering glass. I thought it was love. But I never expected him to start appearing around me constantly afterward. I knew those weren't coincidences. Every unexpected encounter must have one scheming party. When I ran into Ethan again, I confronted him directly. He said he wanted to get back together. That this time he'd pursue me. I almost laughed. Ethan, have you forgotten? Our trial run proved we're incompatible. There's no reason for me to wallow in failed relationships or repeat past mistakes. I chose to be with you but couldn't make you love me. I accept my defeat gracefully. Turning to leave, I suddenly noticed Ryan standing a short distance behind me. He must have heard everything. Wordlessly, he handed me a vanilla ice cream cone. Saw a new shop on the way. He shrugged. The sweet chill cut through the sweltering summer heat as I took a lick. The sunset blazed across the horizon like spilled watercolors. Ryan abruptly stopped walking and called my name. Years later, I'd still vividly recall this moment, his black button-down and slacks. Hands casually tucked in pockets. Breeze tousling his bearing forehead. Lily, he said, be with me. I'll never let you lose. Ryan kept a potted gardenia that eventually bloomed, leaving faint floral traces on his clothes. My mother mentioned I used to grow them too before the accident. She'd moved us cities during my coma, abandoning those plants to die. After waking, I never gardened again. Ethan never reappeared. I didn't commit to Ryan either. Remembering his social media post with Ethan's comment, Ryan must have someone else. Why else proposed to me? Perhaps I'm just second choice after his true love didn't materialize. When he stopped pressing the matter, relief mingled with inexplicable emptiness. For months I wondered about this mystery woman. Did we look alike? Was that why he'd stare at me so intensely? The answer came when we bumped into his high school junior, now colleague, an elegant woman approaching us at a bistro. Your girlfriend, Ryan? She smiled, glancing at me. Not at all. He answered too quickly. Suddenly I understood. The melancholy clung like humidity during our drive back. Slumping against the window, I watched drizzle pattern the glass until sleep took me. I awoke at dusk. His blazer draped over me. The parked car framed Ryan laughing under rain-dripping trees. Phone pressed to ear. His crinkling eyes and curved lips twisted my stomach. Knuckles rapped the half-open window. Turning, I drowned in his gaze before croaking. What? There's that new DIY craft studio you mentioned. He remembered my offhand comment about wanting to try pottery like the mug I'd made Ethan. Later shattered. The nearly empty shop's bell jingled our entrance. My distracted fingers fumbled tools while obsessing over his colleague's beauty. No wonder he pined for years. Her parting "let's grab lunch sometime" invitation soured my mood. Metal clattering snapped me back. Ryan had vanished. Frantic, I rushed out wearing the craft apron, passing half-built storefronts until strong arms yanked me sideways. The sickening thud of impact. My scream tangled with splattered ice cream hitting pavement. Then blood droplets. 1, 2, Ryan collapsed. My legs gave out as I knelt beside him, calling his name softly, Ryan. He didn't respond. Tears streamed down uncontrollably as I fumbled with trembling hands to dial 911. The phone slipping through my fingers like water. Then Ethan appeared. In the hospital. I stared at the glowing surgery in progress sign. My entire body shaking as fragmented memories clawed at my consciousness until my head throbbed with splitting pain. When the operating room doors finally swung open after what felt like centuries, the doctor's "he's stable" made my taut nerves snap. Darkness swallowed me whole. Our story began on a sweltering summer evening when I was sneaking vanilla ice cream in the stairwell. Dad walked in with this guy wearing a crisply ironed Oxford shirt buttoned to the top. Ryan Wilson. My new math tutor. Call him Mr. Wilson, Dad instructed. I eyed his sharp jawline and mischievously chirped. Ryan. His surprised laugh crinkled those hazel eyes as he patted my head. Good girl. Good? Hardly. I'd pretend not to understand algebra problems just to watch his fingers dance across graph paper, relishing how he'd patiently re-explain concepts I'd already grasped. When Mom's business trips left me eating instant noodles, Ryan confiscated my cup ramen and cooked tomato and egg noodles instead. I'll teach you. He promised. Turns out boiling pasta proved easier than calculus, especially when your teacher smells like mint and solves quadratic equations in perfect cursive. That summer, vanilla ice cream dripped down my wrists as I counted days between tutoring sessions. On his last night before college, I wore my new sundress and blurted out my feelings. His smile turned sad. Focus on your studies, kiddo. The nickname stung worse than rejection. He left a phone number. I called weekly with fake math questions and real demands. Don't date anyone until I graduate. Once, I heard frat boy laughter through the receiver. Who's the jailbait? Ryan? We reunited under winter streetlights during sophomore year. His wool coat dusted with snowflakes. Hi, Lily. He breathed. And for 3 magical days, we built snowmen and shared cocoa. Then he vanished again until the accident. The cracks started during junior year. Dad's mistress. Mom's obliviousness. That frantic night, I dialed Ryan's number 3 times while sprinting toward traffic. Tires screeched. White light. Then nothing. Now monitors beep around Ryan's hospital bed. Sophia from his alma mater brought peonies yesterday. Poor Ryan. She cooed, arranging flowers I wanted to hurl against the wall. The neurologist says his coma could last weeks. Months. Forever. Sometimes I trace the scar on my wrist from that crash, the one that stole 2 years of memories but left this aching hollow where Ryan's laughter used to live. They say everyone's the protagonist of their own story. But what if you lose the script? What if your hero never wakes up? I still make tomato egg noodles every Tuesday. The pot boils over every time. Ryan got hurt trying to protect me. I bit my lip silently, staring at the floor. Sweetie. Did your memories come back? The girl chirped. When do I get to have wedding toast? You knew about my amnesia? I ignored her last remark. Surprised. Of course. Everyone knows Ethan turned down every girl for you. She smirked. Do you think he'll lose his memories too? The hospital hummed with nighttime stillness. After meticulously cleaning Ryan's fingers and face, I pretended to read while my mind churned. That student's words kept replaying. Frustrated, I Googled chances of amnesia after head trauma, thousands of articles. 0 certainty. Moonlight traced his eyelash shadows on the pillow. Studying his features, I realized how much he changed over the years. Maybe memory loss made people hypersensitive. When he said I'd become more docile, it wasn't obedience, just survival mode after the accident. 4 months after waking from coma, I'd jolt awake screaming from phantom crash sounds. With Ethan, that insecurity had peaked. Now trembling fingers brushed his. Ryan. I whispered. Please wake up soon. 10 days later, carrying a water basin from the restroom, I froze. He sat upright, massaging his temples. Where? The hospital. My voice shook. You shielded me. It's been 10 days. Ryan, do you remember me? His gaze swept my face. You're my wife. The metal basin clattered to the floor. I spun toward the door, eyes burning, until his hoarse chuckle stopped me. Lily, sorry. Bad joke. I remember you. Could never forget. During his home recovery, I commuted between our apartments. While peeling apples one afternoon, he sighed. You don't owe me this. The knife paused. Don't want me here? He leaned back, throat working. Want it too much. How do I survive when you leave again? Memories flooded me, countless video calls ending with the same ache. Even when promising to wait, I'd feared him moving on. I kept coming, sometimes grading papers in his study after online lectures. That day, turning off my webcam, I found him leaning in the doorway. Everything okay? Fine. His mood lingered through dinner. Why do your students call you sis instead of professor? I shrugged. Serving soup makes them comfortable. Always wanted a little brother anyway. He pushed the sauerkraut fish away. Tastes sour. I hid a smile. Mom would faint seeing me cook like this. Crisis forged culinary skills I never knew existed. 2 weeks later, Ryan returned to work. The morning of his first board meeting, I found him reading his Windsor not 7 times. His hands stilled when mine covered them. Let me. Our breaths mingled as I adjusted the silk. His pulse raced under my fingertips. Lily. But I stepped back, smoothing his lapel. Don't want you late. The unspoken words hung heavier than his Armani suit. We both knew the stance 10 years of almosts and not yets. Yet here we stood, still choosing to orbit each other's gravity. The shops in the plaza we used to visit had all been renovated. While wandering around, I ran into Ethan. That day at the hospital, my attention had been entirely focused on Ryan, and I hadn't even noticed when Ethan left. I thanked him, but he merely tugged at the corner of his mouth. Weariness etched between his brows as he replied hoarsely. Lily. He's my cousin. I would have saved him even without you involved. I smiled. Still. Thank you. Children's laughter filled the air as colorful helium balloons danced in the wind, our coats flapping wildly. Ethan casually bought a pink balloon and twirled its string. Can we sit and talk? No need. Ethan. There was nothing left to say between us. People can't stay rooted in the past forever. He gave a bitter laugh. Back then, when you asked if I meant what I said on that mountain, Ethan. I met his gaze steadily. Expired answers don't matter anymore. I don't need them. Later, he released the balloon. It soared instantly, his eyes reddening as he stared at the sky. His whisper barely reached me. Once you let go, there's no catching it again. Barring amnesia from external causes. My memory's always been sharp. I remember things for years. Maybe lifetimes. Like the phone number Ryan gave me that summer. After reuniting, we'd never exchanged numbers. I didn't know if he kept his phone glued to him, but he replied to every text within seconds. One afternoon after tutoring, I noticed the gardenia on the study windowsill. Rotating the pot, I found childish scratches underneath Lily loves Ryan, my teenage self's jagged declaration. But beneath it, neatly carved, someone had added Ryan loves Lily too. Leaning against the window, I dialed the memorized number. He answered immediately. At his familiar hello, tears spilled over before I could stop them. One moment they pooled, the next they fell. I bit my lip, afraid he'd hear the tears. He didn't hang up. Background noise faded as he moved somewhere quiet, until only his breathing remained. When he finally spoke, his voice gentled. Lily, I've missed you so much. I gripped the phone, choking out, Ryan. I'm so sorry for forgetting you. Ryan rushed home to find me freshly composed, though my eyes still looked like I'd gone 10 rounds in a boxing ring. The bathroom door flew open, startling me into dropping my towel. He caught me mid-reach, crushing me against his chest. Don't move. Let me hold you. Somehow we ended up tangled on the living room couch, his fingers spanning my waist as he buried his face in my neck. I'm sorry, he murmured, breath tickling my skin. Then, shifting tone, you forgot me for ages. Better start thinking how to make it up to me. The making up culminated in me moving into his place. 6 months later, I learned Sophia had gone abroad. She texted apologies before leaving. I deleted her contact without replying. By then I'd started grad school while continuing to tutor that high school senior, much to Ryan's daily exasperation. Honestly, I found it amusing. I'd always imagined my proposal involving flowers, balloons, and fairy lights. Reality came on an ordinary morning, me emerging from the bathroom to find Ryan on one knee, ring glinting in his hand. Lily, will you marry me? I can't wait any longer. I'll give you all the fancy stuff later. But Lily, I love you. So damn much. Laughing through tears. I slid on the ring. Fair. You're pushing 30 anyway, time to settle down. Ever since that offhand comment I made, Ryan couldn't let it go. Especially after seeing a high school senior named Ben constantly calling me sis. He became convinced I thought he was old. So he decided to thoroughly demonstrate his vitality. That morning when it was almost time for my online class, Ryan casually tucked the blanket around me, kissed me, then opened my laptop to connect with the student. Wait, where's sis? Did I get the wrong link? Ryan glanced at me while loosening his tie, answering solemnly, no mistake here. Sis lost her voice. Your brother-in-law's teaching you today.